Are you or someone you love suffering in silence? Here at Wavy TV, we want to help break the cycle of domestic violence.
Yeah, 10 on your side's Laura Caso is here now with more from those who are working behind the scenes to help victims. She joins us with her special report, Afraid to Speak, Deadly Results. Laura?
I've learned on average domestic violence victims go back to their abuser 7 times. I've also learned there are many victims who are too afraid to speak out, thus the cycle of domestic violence. But here at 10 on your side, we are hoping to change that, even if it affects one person.
I'll be okay. I'll be all right.
It's the voice of Bellamy Gamboa on the phone with a 911 operator, March 2017.
But he did hit you?
I mean, I fell, but I'll be okay, ma'am.
The man she's talking about, her ex and father of her twins, later confessed to killing her.
Can you just tell me the address where you're at? One more time, just for verification.
No, because it'll just get worse.
A year after this call, Gamboa disappeared from this Virginia Beach apartment. During an interrogation, Lamont Johnson admits, "I threw her down and choked her. She stopped moving. She was foaming at the mouth."
Sadly, it was too late for my sister.
Cherise Gamboa is hoping her sister's story helps others who are afraid to come forward.
It could have been pushed harder where, again, they could have sent maybe someone for a welfare check from the court, once a week because she was in fear.
And so many are, according to Kristen Pine of the YWCA of Southampton Roads.
Tragic. I think it's just tragic.
In 2017, Gamboa sought protective orders against Johnson for threatening her. Pine says protective orders are legal documents meant to keep abusers away from their victims. If the abuser comes near the victim can call police, but sometimes there's a delay.
Finding the perpetrator or the abuser to serve that protective order can sometimes be tricky, particularly if the victim and the abuser live together.
And sometimes the paper isn't respected and it's just too late.
But if somebody is really after somebody, it's not going to keep you completely safe.
But even when the protective orders work, it doesn't mean criminal charges will stick.
The difficult thing for prosecutors is you have to have a willing victim who wants to prosecute that case.
And of the more than 30,000 domestic violence arrests made in Hampton Roads in the last 5 years, not all the victims want to prosecute, including Bellamy Gamboa before her death.
The charges were dropped. I think it's because Bellamy was terrified to even continue.
You have victims who simply don't want to leave the relationship.
Colin Stolley, Virginia Beach's Commonwealth's attorney, is not required to prosecute domestic violence cases.
And I think you'll find that most prosecutors do, in fact, provide a prosecutor to domestic violence cases because they are so very complicated.
Prosecution isn't always easy, according to Paul Powers, a prosecutor who specializes in domestic violence.
There are so many different factors involved. Housing arrangements, jobs, putting food on the table. So each situation we have to look at uniquely.
What we hope to do is empower victims with enough knowledge, empower victims with enough resources at their fingertips that they can have the courage to stand up.
We just got into a fight, that's all, but it's all right. I'm fine.
They got into
I don't
you
have
and
any
your...
broken bones.
As for Gamboa, she had the courage to call 911, the courage to file protective orders. But we've also learned she was in a reoccurring cycle of domestic violence, one that ultimately cost this mother of 4 her life. Her ex admitted to throwing her body in a Chesapeake dumpster. Bellamy Gamboa's body has never been found.
The people that love you should not be the people that hurt you.
We have a list of resources for domestic violence on wavy.com, but I want you to know there is a 24-hour hotline. That number is 757-251-0144. Last year, they had more than 10,000 local phone calls. Laura Caso, 10 on your side.